What does it take for a company to survive massive scandals and still dominate its industry? In the case of Uber, the journey wasn't smooth. From leadership controversies involving former CEO Travis Kalanick to legal battles and global backlash, Uber faced crises that could have destroyed the brand. Yet somehow, it managed to rebuild its reputation, restructure its leadership, and stay ahead in the ride-hailing race. So how did Uber turn some of the biggest corporate scandals into a comeback story? In this video, we'll break down how Uber survived the chaos and still came out on top. Today, we will talk about how Uber survived its biggest scandals and still won. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. The rise of Uber, a revolutionary idea that changed transportation. When Uber was founded in 2009 by Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, the company introduced a groundbreaking idea, using a smartphone app to instantly request a ride from nearby drivers. This concept transformed urban transportation and disrupted the traditional taxi industry across the world. Within a few years, Uber expanded rapidly to hundreds of cities and became one of Silicon Valley's most valuable startups. Its platform-based model allowed ordinary people to become drivers while offering riders a faster, more convenient alternative to taxis. Venture capital investors poured billions of dollars into the company, helping it expand globally and dominate the ride-hailing market. By the mid-2010s, Uber had become synonymous with ride-sharing itself, much like how Google became synonymous with online search. However, this rapid growth also came with a highly aggressive corporate culture and controversial business tactics. As Uber grew, critics began to question whether the company's relentless pursuit of expansion and market dominance came at the expense of ethics, transparency, and compliance with regulations. What followed was one of the most dramatic corporate crisis periods in modern tech history. 2. The storm begins. Uber's culture and workplace controversies. One of the biggest scandals that shook Uber erupted in 2017 when a former engineer, Susan Fowler, published a blog post describing sexual harassment and discrimination within the company. She claimed a manager propositioned her for sex and that human resources failed to properly address the complaint. The allegations triggered a massive investigation into Uber's workplace culture. The company hired former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder to conduct an internal review. The investigation uncovered systemic cultural issues, leading to the firing of more than 20 employees and the resignation of several top executives. This scandal severely damaged Uber's reputation, exposing a culture that critics described as toxic and overly aggressive. It also raised broader questions about sexism and misconduct within Silicon Valley's startup ecosystem. The fallout extended beyond internal disciplinary actions. Investors, employees, and the public began to demand major leadership changes. The controversy showed how rapidly a company's internal culture could become a public relations crisis when employees spoke out. Yet despite the reputational damage, Uber continued operating and expanding globally, showing that its underlying business model remained powerful even while the company's leadership faced intense scrutiny. 3. A series of PR disasters that nearly destroyed the brand. The sexual harassment controversy was only one of many scandals that hit Uber during this period. In early 2017, a viral social media campaign called #DeleteUber erupted after the company was accused of undermining a taxi strike protesting a controversial travel ban in the United States. The backlash was enormous, and roughly 500,000 users reportedly deleted their accounts in protest. At the same time, Uber faced criticism for several other controversies. The company admitted it had overstated potential driver earnings in advertisements, leading to a $20 million settlement with regulators. It also acknowledged miscalculating driver payments in New York, which resulted in drivers being underpaid for years. Another major scandal involved a secret software tool called Greyball, which Uber allegedly used to evade law enforcement in cities where its service faced regulatory restrictions. The tool identified officials attempting to conduct sting operations and prevented them from successfully hailing rides. These revelations painted a picture of a company willing to push legal boundaries to maintain its rapid expansion. For many observers, Uber's reputation appeared to be collapsing under the weight of these controversies. 4. The leadership crisis. The fall of Travis Kalanick. The accumulation of scandals eventually led to a leadership crisis that forced Uber's founder, Travis Kalanick, to step down as CEO in June 2017. Investors believed the company could not recover its reputation without a major change at the top. After months of pressure from shareholders and board members, Kalanick resigned from the position he had held since the company's founding. Kalanick's leadership style was often described as bold, aggressive, and relentless. While these traits helped Uber achieve extraordinary growth, they also contributed to the company's toxic culture and regulatory conflicts. His resignation marked a turning point in Uber's history. Many investors believed the company needed to transition from a rebellious startup into a mature global corporation. Kalanick remained on the board for some time, but his departure symbolized the end of Uber's most chaotic era. The leadership shakeup signaled to regulators, employees, and the public that Uber was attempting to reform itself and rebuild trust. 5. Legal battles and the Waymo lawsuit. Another major challenge facing Uber during its scandal-filled period was a high-profile lawsuit from Waymo, the self-driving car division of Alphabet Incorporated. Waymo accused Uber of stealing trade secrets related to autonomous vehicle technology. The lawsuit centered around a former Google engineer, Anthony Levandowski, who allegedly downloaded thousands of confidential files before joining Uber. The case threatened Uber's ambitions to develop self-driving cars, which were considered critical for the company's long-term future. If Waymo had won a massive judgment against Uber, they could have severely damaged the company's finances and technological progress. Eventually, the dispute was settled in 2018, with Uber agreeing to provide Waymo equity valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. 6. The data breach scandal and security concerns. Uber also faced serious criticism after a massive data breach involving the personal information of approximately 57 million riders and drivers. Hackers obtained names, email addresses, phone numbers, and driver license numbers from the company's systems. Instead of immediately disclosing the breach, Uber reportedly paid the hackers $100,000 to delete the stolen data and keep the incident secret. When the breach became public, regulators and privacy advocates condemned the company's handling of the situation. The incident raised serious concerns about how technology companies manage sensitive user data. For a platform handling millions of daily rides and vast amounts of personal information, trust was essential. 7. The turnaround. Leadership change and corporate reform. Uber's survival largely depended on a massive corporate transformation that began after the scandals peaked in 2017. The company appointed Dara Khosrowshahi, formerly the CEO of Expedia Group, as its new chief executive. Khosrowshahi was widely viewed as a stabilizing leader who could repair Uber's damaged reputation and guide the company into a more responsible phase of growth. Under his leadership, Uber implemented major reforms aimed at improving workplace culture, strengthening governance, and rebuilding public trust. The company introduced new policies addressing harassment, transparency, and ethical conduct. It also focused on cooperating more closely with regulators and local governments around the world. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.